Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Roast in the Ceilings podcast. This is our 83rd episode. So exciting. Today, we have a special guest with us, Rashda, and we actually met at a girls' career fair, a conference that just happened a little over a week ago, and she had her own stand there. And I would love it if you were to introduce yourself to our audience today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I really appreciate that. And before I start, I would like to mention you're grade 11th, you're doing this, and it's like so awesome. I mean, and it's such a role model for other girls and young kids. And I was just telling my husband and my little girl were listening, and it was like, what? So it's a big thing you're doing. So I really appreciate that.
Sweet.
Yes. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. My name is Rashda. I'm also an educator, and I just became an author last year. I published my debut children's book in July. Yeah, thank you. So, yes.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about your book? What's it about?
Sure. So my book is a children's story, and it's a growth mindset story. And it's meant for ages 5 to 12, but I always say it's up to 100. Like if someone asks me, always you have to rise. Okay, people ask me, it's ages 5 to 12, but it's really the concept is like resilience, growth mindset is up to like age 100 and beyond. So yeah, so that was my first book, and um, should I tell you like the whole inspiration you want me
Yeah, I
to?
would love to hear what inspired
Okay,
you to write your
awesome.
book.
Yeah. So, to be honest, I always wanted to be a writer, but I became an educator. But like my writing part was always there. I was writing here and there. I actually wrote in university time, but it was just as a fun. So I always thought, okay, when I will retire, I will be a writer. So I think the turning point was when my daughter diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4. That was the time I took a break from my teaching career. And I was thinking just around that, I was taking time to get out of that shock and like just taking care of her. But it really gives me time to slow down and think about things. So at that time, I was looking for more growth mindset stories and the stories which, and now she was diagnosed. Like I was already into that topic. I'm like really so much. I read a lot about it, but now I was seeing like more into young children literature. And at one point, I noticed that there are representations of different cultures, different challenges in children literature, but there is not enough for type 1 diabetes because type 1 diabetes is like so advanced now. You can easily recognize those kids with diabetic thoughts, but still people don't have enough information or there's enough representation, especially in a normalized way in children literature. So I think that was my turning point that I thought, okay, I'm going to write a story. But then my dilemma was I was thinking, like, should I write about type 1 or because I do have like really strong ideas to write about growth mindset. So what I decided that that we should present challenges in a normalized way in stories as well because there should be representation. Like still my girl is type 1 diabetic, but that's not who she is. That challenge doesn't define her. She has like lots of other skills. She go through the normal day and all that, but that's just part of it. So I just created that character with a diabetic part, and then my story is like totally different from type 1. But at one point, I did mention a little bit about that as well in the book, but not like what is type 1. It's just like she came over, managed type 1 in a really good way. So yeah, so I wrote a growth mindset story, and the inspiration behind my growth mindset story was like I was reading a lot about growth mindset and fixed mindset. especially the literature of the first book of Carol Dweck. She's a very famous psychologist who first talked about growth mindset and fixed mindset. And that idea was like so like attract me that, and I realized that there's not enough of this idea in children literature because this is such a crucial concept. If we can teach kids from a young age what is a growth mindset and fixed mindset in a fun way, that would be amazing. Because that we start to teach them like in a bit later on where, they don't really get that. So what I did, I created like two characters where one is like kind of brain buddies where the girl like show like two kinds of thinking, like one is growth mindset and one is fixed mindset, but like she's always thinking in one way that is like fixed mindset. The point is like kids sometimes get stuck in the negative thinking but they don't know how to come out of it. So I just want to show them like, so in a fun way I told in the story, okay, that is Mr. Small saying something in your brain on one side. What do you think Mr. Big is going to say? Like if you are listening Mr. Small, then just give a shot to Mr. Big as well. So in other ways, like what I meant to say, like if you are listening to your negative mindset, you want to stay in your comfort zone, someone is discouraging you. What if you are get a courage to do something? What happened like if you think the opposite? So we just need to tell kids like there are always two ways of thinking. So if we give them that vision from very start, in a fun way, they will always remember, okay, it's okay to think in a negative way. It's okay to like in one way, but there's always another way. And then we have to choose which way we have to go. So that actually will give them a kind of future perspective. Like if I choose this option, then what's going to happen? If I choose this option, then what's going to happen? And then at the end, choice is yours. So in any tricky situation, like they can apply the concept and parents are using it, teachers are using it like this book in class nowadays, and I'm so happy. Seriously, I wasn't like that confident in the start because I just applied at my home with my own
Right.
kids. But now like teachers are telling me and parents are telling me, like, we read the story and we asked it, oh, you're thinking like Mr. Small. What do you think Mr. Big is gonna say in that situation? And that's so awesome. Like I just love it when I listen to those stories.
That is adorable that
Thank
you're,
you.
you're bringing that to become accessible to young kids and to teachers to have that resource to finally learn about it. So I think definitely we don't hear that kind of idea of growth and fixed mindset in
Yes,
our everyday life, right? So I'm
true.
super
Especially for
curious from
kids.
your
Yes.
perspective as an educator, what do you think is, the biggest roadblock that you've seen from people who are trying to get from that fixed to growth mindset?
To be honest, it's true for adults, for everyone. Once you're in a negative mindset, it's really hard. And I think that is something I'm trying to teach in my book as well, that that's perfectly fine to have negative thinking because that's something natural. Whenever we think of something doing it, we get nervous, we get scared, and we want to stay in our comfort zone. So the trick is like to go from here to there to navigate our feelings from here to there, right? So that's what we need to tell kids in some way so they can understand. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like we don't have enough resources, I think, and we don't teach kids from a young age, right? So yeah, I think if we just like start like talking about it from a young age, it can really stick in kids' mind and they can like it will make them mentally really strong. Yeah.
That is a spectacular story. I think that's absolutely amazing. Yeah, we definitely don't hear these terms super often,
Hmm, true.
especially in the education space. So, yeah.
Yes, true, true.
Yeah. So it's great to hear about your background in writing and how
Mhm.
you've always loved writing. And what do you think kids should do if they want to get into writing? What did that path look like for you?
Oh, that's a great question. And I love answering this question, because I'm the person like who was very very, very passionate about writing, and I want to be a writer, but that was something I was starting from scratch. The publishing something is different from something, you're generally like just writing for fun and your own diary, no one knows about it. But then you have to bring your work in front of the world. That is a totally different story. So, and honestly, it took me 2 years. I took my time because I was teaching at that time as well, and I was taking care of my daughter. I have 3 kids, so all that. But I started from I started from like really scratch. I don't know anything, but the thing I did, like I just go step by step. So, for example, when I was writing and I wasn't sure about the idea, I took feedback from my fellow educators, from strangers. Like if I joined Facebook group, if I know anybody, I just asked them like if they can provide the feedback. And based on feedback, I refined my story as much as I can. So that was a hard process, to say something and ask for help. Like I was, because, and to share your own idea. So, but I would say, like, if anyone is starting out, that's the key. You have to refine your initial concept. That's super important. And always ask for feedback as much as you can. So, well, like, but there are very helpful people as well, like who help throughout the journey and like give me the feedback. So after that, there was illustration process, and I don't know anything about like illustration, where to find the illustrator. So it took me time to find it online. I tried like 2 or 3 illustrator, and then it was like I have to like kind of invest as well. And that was, I think, the moment I thought like, okay, that's like kind of too much investment. I think that was the biggest my um roadblock, like where I was thinking, okay, I shouldn't go further. But then I was passionate about type 1 advocacy. I was passionate about growth mindset. The idea was so strong that I just really want to do it. So yeah, I think that was the time like I was thinking to give up, and just because of the budget and everything. But I decided to do it. So that part was done. Illustration took a little bit time, like 4 to 5 months. And then after that, we started the design process. I have to hire the designer as well. We did that, and now I'm in the marketing process, and that is the super hard thing to do in Word. Like, so, but yeah, it's going very well. But then at this moment, when I like, it's almost like I published last year, I'm realizing that yes, there are challenges and there are people who will not encourage you. And but if you are seeing your purpose clearly, things do get easier. Just keep going because there are people who are helping you as well. So look up to those people, and you will be fine because there are so many things to discourage you, but you always have to. So whenever I say to myself, I always go back to my story. Like if it's think big, so there's Mr. Small and there's Mr. Big as well, right? So your challenges are always opportunities as well. You have to go after.
Absolutely. I think that is such a great sentiment that we
Mhm.
we see our roadblocks as opportunities to grow, just
Exactly.
like you said. Um, and to have that support system, as you mentioned as well, to not focus on,
Totally.
who might be shooting you down, but to focus on who's bringing you up. And I'm curious, if someone hasn't found those people yet, how would you advise someone to go about finding their support system and building that supportive group for their project or for themselves?
Yeah. Um, and it's a great question, but it's a super hard question because once someone is in that loop, you know, in that negative mindset, it's so hard to come out of it. And I always tell people that no, don't rush. Don't rush. If you are in that you're not feeling good, you are in the, in the other kind of mindset where you're giving up, someone is discouraging you. Those are feelings as well. Those are like our natural emotion. And sometimes we have to stay in that phase for a while, and that's perfectly fine with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. So stay in that, but that is also a time where you're slowing down and you're thinking, okay, what you have to do. So the things which help me are reflecting on those experiences. I literally write those sentences people said to me, and I reflected like, if someone is saying that, are you that person? Are you going to give up? So I think it takes time to make your mindset, and people should take that time. Sometimes if we are sad and we are like, feeling discouraged, that's perfectly fine. That's very natural. There's nothing wrong with it. So give yourself time to get out of it, and building a support system. I think it always starts with your own mindset, but then there are so many opportunities around as well. So just for example, the conference we attended, you know, if you are if you are like looking at, like, if for someone is, for example, if someone is like grade 11 and 12, and so they know like that conference is going to happen, that could be an inspiration for that person to go there, just to go there and just sit there, nothing else, and that will change your mindset, because the way what you guys were doing, that will inspire that there are other things to do in life. It's like, stop thinking about yourself, that gives you a perspective, that gives you an exposure. So it's not that easy, but it does take time as well. Yeah.
Oh,
So
for
my
sure.
only advice in that, I never, like, don't rush to be positive. Like, I wanna be strong. I would like, take time, reflect on your experiences, and just go from there, having clarity what you want to do. So that will clear your path.
I really liked what you said about, journaling and taking time to reflect with yourself as well and seeing, what are the part of my mindsets that might be holding me back, how can I learn to accept the negative emotions I'm feeling? I really liked that piece that you brought up, so thank you so much for that. And to wrap us up today, I'm curious if there are any last pieces of advice that you'd like to share with the girls in our audience today.
Yeah. If I reflect back on my experiences and growing up, I was I was passionate about my ideas when I was young, when I was in grade 11 and 12. But I don't know, it was like something around, or I was like passionate about math as well. Like, I want to teach, I want to be teacher as well. But I think if you are really passionate about, you should start early. Especially young girls, they have like so many good ideas. So if you're passionate about something and you can do this, go after it. You just do that. Because I know sometimes people think, oh, maybe I don't make money in that, or maybe it's too difficult. But like, I am creative, but I will not go through that path. And they just leave their passion, or like what they are really good about it, on the side, and just go the other way. Um, so that's my advice, is like, if you're really good at something, so do that in that age, because that will that will make you the most happiest, and you will like, if you are good at something, you will like, money will come after you. So don't worry about that. But what you're good at, people need to hear and listen from you, and just to have more role models in young age, especially.
That's so heartwarming. I love that advice. So sweet. And of course, where can we find Think Big? What are your social media handles if you want to give a shout out?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, I have my own website. It's www.rashzee.com. And my book is available on Amazon as well. So you can find it on amazon.ca, amazon.com. There are some local bookstores. It's available now. It's available in Indigo Langley if you are in Surrey. It's available in Surrey libraries and available in Vancouver Library as well. You can find it there. And yeah, so those or yeah, I'm also creating many social emotional learning resources to go with my book. So you can find me on Teachers Pay Teachers as well, especially for the educators. So because I'm really passionate about this topic, so I just made growth mindset flashcards, and those are like I'm loving it, like because I don't say easily about my own stuff that I love it, but when they came out, like there's or those are so good because so like kind of you have to rephrase the word. Mr. Small says, and what do you think Mr. Big says? So it's a really good exercise for kids. So yeah, so I'm creating those resources. You can find me on Teachers Pay Teachers as well, but my website is like well, once you go there, you can find everything. I love writing blogs as well, and I'm writing every month, so you can check those out too.
That is super cool. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. And just to tell you again, you guys are very inspiring. Like, I